Hey guys, welcome back to the Healthy Osprey podcast. My name is Kathy.
My name's Dee.
And on this episode, guys, it is episode 26. And we want to talk about so many things. About a year ago, guys, we were sent home as the start of the pandemic started expanding and things were getting a lot serious. So we wanted to talk about what you did before this whole thing happened and how did you take it in at that time and how are you taking it in now? And also, we want to talk about, what we are looking forward to as the summer is approaching. Some of us, have plans. Some of us are graduating. Some of us just want to stay at home. So we really want to get into it and also talk about a little bit of mental health and how important it is to just, be around people that support you and love you and so forth. So, Dee, what were you where were you a year ago as the start of this pandemic happened?
So a year ago, I was in my dorm in Landings, which is, by the way, for me, the best dorm experience I had, which is only the only dorm experience I had. But for me, I was in Landings, and I remember my roommate coming and barging in, and she was always very up to date with anything UNF would say or anything that came out from the newsletter, and she was like, Deanna, did you hear that they're going to shut down your school and there's a big pandemic that's exploding and we might not even see each other for a whole year? And I was like, what? I was like, come again?
Yeah.
And I was honestly so shook, and I was like, I just got to college. Like, why am I leaving already? And
Yeah.
what ended up happening was it was also right before we were going on spring break. So I was already planning on packing to go home to see my family. And
Hmm.
so I ended up packing extra stuff because I didn't think it was gonna be that long because they're like, you guys would have like
Yeah.
extended spring break. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. More time to do stupid stuff, I guess, or just enjoy time to like spend time with my family and
Hmm.
just relax. And I was like, okay, this is gonna be great. And then as time went by and my mom started making me watch the news more, and she was like, I don't think this is going anywhere. And so right before, like 3 days before our school like officially shut down and we were still kind of like in that extended spring break, my
Hmm.
sister and I, we went up to Jacksonville, and we took like this car that's like a really big family car that we have, and we shoved everything we possibly could. Everything that I had in the dorm, we put it in our car, in our little truck, and we went home. And so when everyone was like, oh man, I don't have my stuff, the school's locking down, I don't have it, I had everything because my mom sent my sister and I up there and we got everything I had, which was insane. But we did it, and I'm really glad like I had that push because everyone was like, I don't have any of my stuff, everything's locked down in UNF. So
Wow.
that was my time when I heard about the pandemic. And before, like, I kind of thought of it as something that's just gonna like ruin my life and how much fun I was having in college because I was like, I just got here, my experience. And
Yeah.
so basically, my idea of it was like thinking it's like an invader that's gonna just ruin my life because I'm not gonna have fun anymore. And so it was so funny because now when I look at it, I'm like, you know what? It wasn't as bad, even though
Yeah.
we were locked down. But I'm kind of really grateful for the fact that we were locked down because I feel like as my family, we got closer as a unit, and I felt like that's like something you can never regret, like getting closer to
Hmm.
family, something that's very deep. And so I got really close to my family, and I don't have any regrets because now I feel like I know my family even better than I did before I left for college. And then I ended up finding new innovative ways how to be healthy and how to stay fit in the house, which was
Yeah.
very typical, but it was actually fun because my mom and dad would laugh at me and be like, "Are you sure that's gonna work?" I'm like, "I gotta do something." So
Yeah.
it was not bad. And the way how I look at it now, I actually am kind of like thankful for the pandemic because it helped me to look at life in a whole new different aspect. So
Yeah, that's great that you said that. Like I went through the same thing as well when it came to like trying to find exercise things and all this. And it's really interesting because yeah, you said it's a typical thing, but like as a college student, like you really that's the one thing that we always try to make time for is like eating healthy and trying to exercise. And it's not the fact that we're lazy, it's just that we walk around campus all day. Our legs are already pretty tired, or we have to study for a test. And so when I realized that, our teachers were getting more lenient on things, and it really gave us time to, you know, give ourselves time to exercise. And also, we were on lockdown very soon after, like, I think like it started in April or something when we were going into lockdown, or even this month. Um, so yeah, I went home and I was pretty much like within like February, March, I was going through like a really hard breakup. So I was actually really glad to be home to kind of get away from like all of it, because school is just like a little stressful, and then when you deal with like personal stuff, um but I actually handled it really well, and I was able to kind of move forward from it. And at first I even remember like the whole mask thing was not even a huge thing as it is now. Like people were saying like, oh, you're only supposed to wear a mask if you have COVID, or oh, you're only supposed to wear a mask like in the what's it called, in the airports. And I remember that. And it's really interesting how now, like, masks are everywhere and there's a mask shortage and everything. And so when I went home, I pretty much just had a lot of time to myself, and then I realized, oh wow, like I'm actually gonna be here for 5 months.
woo.
And that's when I was like, oh, I don't know if I can do this. But actually I was able to do it. It went by pretty fast, and I love my parents. It's just sometimes, as you are this age, you want to give yourself, that space. Um, but I would honestly do it again, to be honest, because I think the one thing that, when you're so independent is, your parents are there for you, but the physical support is not the same as like the support that they tell you like through the phone or something like that. You know what I mean? Um, so it was good for me, and I just am glad that it's getting to a point where it's going to be resolved, like vaccinations, and some states are already pretty much surpassed it. So it's just really giving a weight, but I do think that life is too short, and so you just have to stay protected but enjoy your life as well. And an example of that is like, if you really want to go to the beach, but you are afraid of COVID, I mean, if you really, you are outside, if you take the precautions to not be around anyone you don't know, you should be fine. You know what I mean? And honestly, sanitizing every second.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
I always have like 3 sanitizers on the go.
Yeah. Um, Another thing is I also, had the Healthy Osprey job on campus. So I would go physically there. And I remember actually the Friday that I was actually last there. I didn't even know it was going to be my last Friday there, but the last Friday that I was there was last Friday, so the 12th. Um, and right now at this point a year ago, I would be at home, but I would still be doing the job. So it was different because like we didn't get to say goodbye to anyone. Um, and it just was a little tough because you didn't get to say bye to your friends or like, you know what I mean? Because we were all just assuming, okay, yeah, we'll be back in like a week and a half, and then like whatever will happen. But no, it really changed, a lot.
Yeah, for sure. And like that's like even now, like we always like have to remember to check up on our friends now. Um, there is a recent event that happened at close to our school, kind of like on our property, where they found a body, but it had nothing to do with a UNF student or a UNF employee. But it kind of just helped me personally to like remember that like I need to reach out to like my friends even if we're still not in the pandemic where we were like hey where we were just reaching out be like hey just checking on your sandy today like how you doing like are you holding
Yeah.
yourself like I used to do that way more often during the pandemic but I feel like I need to continue doing that because you never know what any of your friends are going through and I feel like that's really big because mental health is like seriously an issue where people fight every day and
Yeah.
if we have like people who's like friends who are always going to be like hey that one person who shoots that text can mean the world to someone and so
Yeah.
I'm going to like me personally I'm going to start trying to be more proactive and just making sure that I send that text that is just like a positivity message just like hey just want to know that you're an amazing star and that you can get through today because maybe
Hmm.
that one message can save a life and you never know.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think mental health has been more stronger than it has ever been since the pandemic. A lot of people lost jobs. That was one thing. So they had to transition to just even paying bills. Unemployment and all of this was really hard on a lot of people. Um, and as a younger generation, yeah, we talk about it a lot more than the older generation because, it was kind of really brought into our generation of how important it is to, you know, um, but I do think it's important to just make sure that you are just with your friends or your family and have that support. Um, there's many moments where you can be alone in your room and you can just feel down out of nowhere. But, if you go outside and you just get some fresh air, you call a friend, you go to a coffee shop, like really anything, it's just kind of a way to set the time aside that you have for school and then set time aside that you have for yourself. Yeah, we all work and we have like school and stuff, but really it can be like 30 minutes, just giving yourself something that you like to do. So I like to cook, I like to do beauty stuff, for example. And so those are the things that make me feel a little bit more confident or well put when it comes to my day. Like, I don't know, even like bringing your own lunch to work is like an accomplishment to me because it's like a way of me feeling like, okay, I'm prepared for the day. I don't have to go and spend money. And yeah, like maybe I do want that Chick-fil-A, but at the same time, like, okay, I also, put in the effort of preparing this for myself because, I'm making wiser decisions. Um, Also, like being just more well put, keeping yourself together and presentable is another thing, just how you can boost your confidence. So, yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree. Little things like that makes like a whole difference.
Yeah.
Um, Kathy, I have a question for you.
Mm.
What could be something that you can tell people today that would inspire someone? Since we're talking about a bit like how to shoot a text, like what would if you had a friend right now that you would want to shoot
Yeah.
to, what would you write?
Well, I think it depends on the relationship you obviously have with your friend. But I always just like randomly text some of my friends out of nowhere and I'll be like, "Hey, what's up?" or like, "Hey, how are you? How are you been? Anything um, you know, interesting or are you going through something?" Because like I've received messages myself where my friends are like, "Anything new?" and like that friend hasn't spoken to me in like 4 or 5 months. And so I'm like, oh, well, like, am I supposed to tell you that I'm sad, or am I supposed to tell you that, like, I'm like, last week I did something fun? So it really is just like keeping yourself, accountable for knowing that if you are reaching out to that person, it's not always like sunshines and rainbows. And
Mm-hmm.
also just check in periodically with them. If you actually care about this friend, if you actually see them as someone important in your life in the future, yeah, I would honestly say just keep talking to them, keep hanging out with them, or just send each other funny memes or funny TikToks or whatever it is. Like that's kind of like the relationship I have with my brother sometimes. Like we don't really talk on like serious levels every day, but throughout the day, like, if I see something funny and it reminds me of something that I want to, show him or share with him, like, yeah, I'm going to send it. And it will literally brighten up his day. And he will tell me, like, oh, yeah, I've seen that video like 20 times today. And he's in the military. And it's just like, they go through so much every day. And it's not like whatsoever positive 24/7. And so when they see something that is actually like pretty, happy and or makes them laugh, then yeah, they're not going to want to talk about their problems in that moment because they're so exhausted. So it really is just knowing who the person that you're reaching out to and what, they're like. Another friend that I have, like we honestly just talk in person more. Like when we meet up, we like spill, but then like she calls me and I call her, and that's another thing how we just like can go off and on because it's just not the same through text either. So, just give them a call or do whatever you feel comfortable that you have that relationship with that one person. So yeah, that's what I would say. What about you?
I kind of agree with everything you say. If I could send something right now to someone, it would definitely be along the lines of, because I'm more of a motivational person, and so sometimes I've always like have these motivational quotes that I see, like sometimes my favorite quote is like the best way out is always through, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes like that makes someone like kind of cry because they're just like, but you don't know what I'm going through. And I'll just be like, just tell me so I can like just be there for you, like be a support system, you know?
Yeah.
So that sometimes, so I'm more of a quote person sometimes, but I agree with you. When you meet up with that one friend and you're just like, I have so much to tell you, and it's kind of just like,
Yeah.
it feels so good to even just get it off your chest, you know?
Yeah. I think it's just, both of y'all just, or if it's a group, just finding a time and place to meet up or finding a time to give each other a call or whatever it is. I just would say those are the most important things. Um, but yeah, guys, I think we're going to close it out now for this episode. We do appreciate you all for listening and listen to our other episodes if you'd like to. We talk about nutrition, we talk about mental health. We even have episodes that we did when it was the start of the pandemic. So it's really interesting how you can, see how conversations went a year ago and till now. It's very different. But anyways, we hope that you guys have a good and amazing day and keep in touch for our next episode.
Woo woo. I'm Dee.
I'm Kathy, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.